Hello, today I want to talk a little bit about kingdom fungi and just kind of introduce a little bit about this kingdom and just some of the basic information that you would need to know about this kingdom that I want you to know. Kingdom fungi, of course, is when you think of fungi, you often think of the mushrooms, but it would also include things like yeast and mold. Those are also very common. And this kingdom is very famous for breaking down dead things. It's really good at breaking down and decomposing things. And keep in mind, one thing that they have in common is they all have that same chitin material that they make their cell walls out of, and that's what makes them different than the fungi-like protists that we talked about before. Basically what we can do is break down kingdom fungi into three groups. This is the way I've decided to break them down. We have the decomposers, we have the mutualists, and we have the parasites. And again, they're all different kinds of fungi breaking down different kinds of things. The decomposers, they will usually decompose dead things, but they also can live on things that are still alive. Basically, they have these little tiny hairs called hyphae, and they will grow throughout the material that it's trying to break down. They will release this enzyme outside their body, and that enzyme will turn whatever it is into a jelly-like material, and then it absorbs that material back into its body. So basically it's a three-step process. Releases this enzyme, the enzyme breaks down whatever it is that it's being released on, and then it absorbs that material inside of its body. Much different than the way we eat. We just go to McDonald's and get some food. Much better than trying to spit on something, wait for it to decompose, and then absorb it back through our body. Although it might be easier, you could do that driving a lot easier than holding a hamburger. All that network of the hyphae stuck together, we call that whole thing the mycelium. And the mycelium is just a big network of the hyphae. Some of these mycelium can get huge. I think one on record is 5.5 kilometers wide from side to side. So these things grow huge, and they're some of the largest living things on Earth. Another one is the mutualists that we mentioned before. And mutualists, the main thing I wanted you to take away from this is the idea is they give a little, they take a little. One of the most famous examples of this, and one of the most useful, is the plant kingdom will use fungi on their roots to help the roots absorb nutrients. Without that fungi growing on the roots, those plants wouldn't be able to get enough nutrients and would die. So they're a very important part of our ecosystem. And then of course the last one are the parasites. These guys will live off of living things. They'll break things down. Athlete's feet is a very famous example. You may or may not have had athlete's feet before, but you're still alive, hopefully. And while you're alive, that thing is breaking down your body with those hyphae again, going into your feet, breaking down skin tissue, turning it into a liquid and absorbing it. And another one is called the zombie virus, or not the virus, sorry, not the zombie virus, but the zombie ant. And what happens is there's a fungi, and it releases a spore, which is like a little seed or a baby of a fungi, and it'll go into the ant, take over its mind, and then the ant will go to somewhere high, and then it will grow this mushroom head out of there, release more spores, infect more ants, and it basically just kind of takes over their body. So that's why we call them the zombie ant. And this is actually a concept that's pretty popular in video games today. If you ever played a video game called The Last of Us, they kind of use this idea in that video game as well. But again, like I said, these spores, fungi will make these little babies that are called spores. It's like basically just a hard shell with the fungi inside, and it will go somewhere far away, land, grow in it, grow into a new fungi, wherever that is. And this stuff is everywhere. It's floating around the room. It's probably on this table right there. Got a little bit of a spore fungi on my hand. You're breathing it in all the time, but of course we have immune system, things like that to keep our body safe. But that's just some of the basic overview of kingdom fungi. They have the cell walls made of chitin. They basically break things down. And there's three groups: the decomposers, the mutualists, and the parasites.